episode very much. So I hope she's listening to this one.
I'm
and
sure.
We continue with part 2
Okay.
of Conversations with a Thief.
Mm.
On Monday, I began to tell you about my conversations with an armed robber, who, with a young man who claimed he was an armed robber and part of a syndicate of thieves operating from Nigeria to Gambia. This was a 6'2", very, very well-built young man in his 20s with a black belt in karate. He was a Ghanaian, but he spoke French fluently.
Mm.
He had walked into my office in a book. I was working with a book publishing firm at that time, but he had walked into my office on a Saturday morning when nobody else was at work and had presented me with a 380-page manuscript. The manuscript was about the adventures of a band of armed robbers who operated along the west coast of Africa.
Hey.
I had been blown away by the little I had read of the manuscript because when he gave it to me, I took a quick read through of the first 3 pages. Mm. And I asked him to give me up to Monday to give my verdict on it. But even at that time, I knew that I was holding the best thriller I ever read. When he was leaving, we shook hands. And Winston, my hand disappeared in his. His grip was very firm and strong. Mm. I watched him walk to the door, but at the door, he stopped and turned and walked back to me. He said, "Who are you?" I said, "I am Ebo White, the creative editor of this publishing house." "No," he said, "that is not what I mean. I already know that your name is James Ebo White. You see, you didn't even add the James. I saw it on the letter you signed when I came in." I was shocked. When he entered, I had just printed out a letter and I was signing it. Okay. From where he stood, the letter was upside down, but somehow he had managed to read it. Mm-hmm. He saw my confusion and said, "Don't worry, I can read upside down." Wow. I quickly turned the letter face down. He laughed and said, "Too late for that. You should have done that as soon as I entered." Then he said something that had me shaking to the core. He said, "Listen." And Winston, believe it or not, he closed his eyes and started speaking. And this is what he said. "Dear Mr. Ayi, this is to acknowledge receipt of your manuscript entitled Christian Names and Their Meanings. I regret to inform you that as a creative editor, I cannot in good conscience recommend to my company to publish it, since I do not think there is anything Christian about European names. For instance, what is Christian about a name like Gilbert or William, just to pick on 2. I will accept that these are foreign names, but what makes them Christian? I wonder. If, however, you can present me with a book entitled Ghanaian Names and Their Meanings and Origins, I am sure that that is a manuscript I could take seriously. I therefore return herewith your manuscript and wish you well. Signed, James Ebo White, creative editor. Winston, I had my mouth open.
I'm surprised.
The guy had recited my letter from beginning to the end, from the brief moment he had laid eyes on it. I was not sure that even I, who wrote the letter, could recite it like that, word for word. But he was not done. He said, "You gave it Monday's date. Very clever." Then he said, "There was a typo. Check the spelling of foreign." I sat back in my chair. On impulse, I picked the letter to check, but I put it back still face down. He laughed and said, "Are you not going to check the spelling?" I said, "I will do it later." He said, "I know why you are not turning the letter over." I said, "Why?" He said, "You are afraid that I will memorize your signature as well." I was shocked.
But was that the case?
Indeed, no, that was precisely the reason why I had stopped myself from turning the sheet over. But to him, I said, "Oh, no, that is not it at all." I have decided to rewrite the whole letter anyway. Hearing you read it, I didn't think that the tone was professional enough. He said, "Can I have a piece of paper?" I looked at him, but I did not move. He said, please, I want to show you something. I picked a sheet of A4 from my printer and gave it to him. He picked a pen from my desk, and in a minute, he assigned my signature.
Hey.
I could not believe my eyes. I said, is my signature that easy? He said, yes, your signature is too easy, and in your own interest, please change it. But with me, it would have made no difference at all. And listen, the reason why my signature was easy is that I am one of those people, I don't know whether it's a defect or a handicap or whatever, but I cannot sign the same signature twice.
Okay.
I remember the first time I opened my account, they gave me this card on which you sign your signature, and it has 6 places for signatures.
Mm-hmm.
I signed all 6, and no 2 of them were the same. So I had to simplify my signature as much as I could. And well, he assigned it. But as he said, it would have made no difference at all, even if it was much more sophisticated. He put a pen down. He said, you see, I've been trained to be very observant. If you blindfold me right now, I can describe in detail the layout of this room and where everything is to you, including that biscuit you are keeping in your top drawer. I slammed the drawer shut. Yes, I had been snacking on some biscuits when he came in, but it was in my drawer and not that exposed.
Okay.
I said, you're a very dangerous person. He laughed and said, you have no idea how dangerous. He paused, but his eyes never left me. Then he said, you know, your eyes keep darting to the door at the end of the hallway. That tells me that there is someone inside there. My mouth went dry immediately. I told you at the beginning of this series that my house was on the same floor as my office.
Mm-hmm.
My home was actually just a door away from the office. And that door he was referring to led to my apartment. And my wife, Florence, was in there preparing lunch. I was not aware that my eyes had been darting there, but I had been praying that Florence would not come out. And I was wishing there was some way to warn her not to come out and to lock the door.
Okay.
If this young man who, as he claimed, could kill with his bare hands in 5 minutes was going to do anything to me, I wanted my wife to be spared. My first instinct was to deny that there was someone in there. But I was talking to a self-confessed criminal, and I did not want to use the kind of tools he would use. So I decided to change the subject. I said, so I'll see you on Monday, all right? Just then, listen, the door to my apartment opened and Florence came out with a tray with a glass of fresh fruit and some scones on it. She said, Ebo, lunch will be ready soon, but have this for the meantime. And then she saw him. Oh, Winston, look at the time. Time runs when we are having fun, doesn't it?
It does.
But we still have next Monday. Trust me, the story gets more interesting and more intriguing. Please don't miss it on Monday. This has been episode 2 of Conversations with a Thief.
Uncle, this is your suspense, but no problem.
Monday will come, no.
Monday will come, no. By the grace of God, Monday will come, no. Thank you very, very much, Uncle, for joining us with Food for Thought. We're waiting for the part 3 and maybe part 4 so that we conclude.
All right, so.
Okay, thank you very much, Uncle White, for joining us with Food for Thought, brought to us by Roverman Production. Time now for the Joy Business Minute is brought to us by Consolidated Bank Ghana CBG. We stand with you, and NCI Insurance, the real face of insurance.
Hello, welcome to